Hello everyone, welcome to the Redmen TV. It is the build-up show. Liverpool take on Burnley, 3 p.m. on Saturday. We will be live 45 minutes before kickoff on the YouTube channel doing our fan zone commentary watch along, which you can of course tune in for. We've got a great laugh doing them so far. Much better than the misery of Martin Tyler. I listened to the highlights back after the match. Oh my god! It's like someone literally has told him his cat's dead after every time Liverpool scored a goal. But anyway, you've got me and Chris Pajak to see you through on that one, so we'll see you there. But let's talk about the game in advance, and I do have Mr. Chris Pajak with me right now for this one. Jurgen Klopp called Burnley a results machine. I think, in some regards, with Arsenal and Chelsea looming, and given where Burnley are in the table, that they're one of the teams you would cherry pick in terms of what they've got to play for, in that they've got nothing left to play for. But Jurgen Klopp in particular, he's always keen to stress this.
There's European spots for Burnley. There's some. If Arsenal is still in the race for Europe, they're a point behind them or something, aren't they? They're only 2 points behind Sheffield United. They're only a win away from being where Wolves are in the league. As far as results machine go, I think Liverpool are the results machine in this league, and the only one. Maybe they're just not a well-oiled machine, Burnley, because 49 as opposed to whatever we're on now. Ridiculous. 92 is it, something like that? But good side, and they had a terrible start to the season, like a really bad start to the season, and most un-Burnley like. Dyche is still a good manager. He still gets more than the sum of his parts out of his squad. They've got a way of playing football. They're going to attack us by defending. Does that make sense? The other teams have attacked us for attacking us sake. We know Burnley aren't going to do that. Burnley are going to sit in. They're going to try and bore us to death as fans. I mean, watching Burnley on the telly, isn't it? You just don't want to watch a Burnley game on the telly. If you've got a choice of watching any team in the Premier League, I'd pick anyone other than Burnley, because they can stifle the life out of a game of football at times, and I really hope that's not what happens.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that we've got going for us, one thing, we've got a ton of great things going for us. I'm underselling this, Ben, and we saw this with Burnley already since the restart. They're a team that doesn't have great squad depth. And particularly with the 5 subs thing, and obviously Liverpool have been managing this squad, I think, really well. I mean, especially considering we've actually managed to pick up results, particularly against Villa, which was a little bit more of a slog than we'd have liked along the way. That's the thing we've got an advantage in this, is that no matter what Liverpool do, whether we start strong or we have to bring big boys off the bench, over the course of 90 minutes, there should be more than enough for us to get this done.
Yes, and I think that's the thing. When Burnley are the type of team that we were probably scared of in the past in a weird way, but now we know that we're better than them. And even though we know what they're going to do, we know that they're going to show up and put 10 men behind the ball, and they're going to try and play long ball football and try and play a little bit on the counter attack, maybe get something from a set piece. We know that we have the players now to break that down, and there was a long period in my life where Liverpool just couldn't break down teams who were going to set up like that, but now we can, and I've got faith that we will, particularly at home. And we've got the options to, if we're not managing it, to change the game as well. And this is where the 5 sub rule really plays into our hands a little bit, because you've got the chance to make quite a few changes, and if things aren't going well, and make sure that we can basically break ourselves through.
I think that Burnley were one of a bit of a Liverpool bogey team. I always think back to that game, second game of the season, 15-16, or is it maybe, when Mane mentioned the Arsenal game already, but he starts brilliantly against Arsenal, is missing against Burnley, and we just toil for 90 minutes. They park the bus, whatever you want to call it, and we're just limited to shots from distance and being bullied and whatever. Yeah, I think what we saw this season, we actually watched the game, the first game of the season, even though it feels about 10 years ago since we beat them 3-0, all the way back in August. It's mad that it's actually nearly a year since we last played them, but we've learned to match Burnley physically, and we've got a way of playing that is far calmer against teams that do sit deep.
Yeah.
I sort of remember Traore tying himself in knots on the goal line of Burnley.
Let's not.
There's
just no need for us to go back that far. But yeah, go on. Yeah.
There were. We've had some bad moments against Burnley. They're a difficult side to play. They've got good goalkeeper, decent defenders. They've got forwards who are a bit of a handful if they get the ball in the box. But they're not a side that we should really have trouble with. Our forwards and our midfield are far too strong for them. But that said, they will give us a game, and we'll know we've been in a game. It's not, Burnley are not one of those sides where you think, oh yeah, they're cannon fodder, and we're going to walk all over them. You're going to have a battle, and it's really a question of, do you take your chances when they come? Because that's our weakness. We don't score anything like the number of chances we create.
Yeah, I mean, because that's the thing, that physical battle, that's going to be the big test, and it sounds a bit cliche to use this as Burnley, but it's a cliche for a reason. When Liverpool have struggled against Burnley, it's because they've exerted a physical dominance over us, and as I say, we've gotten much better against them in recent games. The games we're really going toe to toe with them, nose to nose, and not backing down. But look, again, this is a side that have won the title. In case anyone didn't know, Liverpool are champions of England. And it will test our resolve, because the Arsenal game and the Chelsea games are the ones that illuminate. I'm sure the players will have a little eye on that, because it's just a good test. But Burnley will look to test whether we're up for the fight, and if Liverpool are off it, and if they shirk their responsibilities physically in any way, Burnley will cause us problems.
Yeah, I mean, he's been called the Ginger Mourinho, hasn't he, for the longest time? Sean Dyche. I actually think he's more the Ginger Simeone, because they fight for every inch on the football pitch. And, when Liverpool haven't got results against Burnley, it's because we've played into their hands, we've played to their strength, we've gone to try and get that. We've ended up crossing the ball because we've run out of ideas. This is the type of game I want to see a Naby Keita in. This is the type of game I want to see if he can break a game open when it's really packed, because I know he can do it. We saw it against Villa. He's got that deft through ball in him, and that killer instinct and that killer pass. Is this the type of game for him? I hope so. I want to see him get a continued run in the team now, and see if he can break these teams down. I mean, they're a good side. Everybody knows that. Liverpool are a better side. Everybody knows that. We need to go out there and prove that now.
Yeah, I mean, because in that regard, Jordan Henderson, at the time of film, we don't know where he's at. Obviously, he left the field. Jurgen Klopp's quote at the time, we have to wait, I didn't see it back, but I know it will not be nothing. He's obviously gone for a scan on a knee. And fingers crossed, and hopefully everyone's watching this or listening to this now, and they're kind of going, oh, it was nothing, Jordan Henderson's absolutely fine. He will be a massive miss if he's even missing for one game of football, particularly in this kind of game where Jordan Henderson's professionalism, his determination, his drive it would be very, very much a massive asset in this type of game.
Absolutely, you're right. And I'm a little concerned over Henderson now, because it was an away game, and the fact that he'd gone for a scan before the game was over said that to me that there's probably something there. I mean, could you not have brought him back? If you were okay, you could have brought him back home and had a scan today, couldn't you? For example, or the day after the game, if you're watching this a little bit closer to it. So I'm a little concerned there is something serious, that the fact that they've taken him probably somewhere in Brighton for a scan. But you're right, you're absolutely right. He's the type of fella who you need on the pitch week in, week out. I mean, one of the things that we've got going for us in this scenario is Burnley don't tend to score more than one goal in a game very often. Mm-hmm. I mean, do they? I think it was. I don't think they've scored more than one goal in a game since restart. I think you'd have to probably go back to 8-9 games ago.
22nd of February.
There you go.
Well done, Ben.
I mean,
yes, for working from home and having laptops in front of us.
But that's it, isn't it? I mean, the goal difference is like -8 or something like that, isn't it? Yes, having the league table always in front of you, always a big help.
14 wins, 7 draws, 13 defeats. Yeah,
I was just about to say that, Machin. But look, I think if you can get 2 goals, the game's dead, and that's that.
That's what we thought last night.
Yeah. Yeah, true enough. But I think
but Brighton have 34 wins, 34 games, 8 wins, 12 draws and 14 losses, John. And they score more goals because they get 36. Oh, no, they don't. They've got less goals.
Talking about
shut up in your face. You've got the stats in front of you. You can't even get it
right. Saw one this morning saying that Liverpool's away record is exactly the same as City's home record.
Oh, wow.
I haven't got the away form table. Hang on a second. I'll concur.
Yeah, I think the point's a valid one in that, but I think what Chris is right in saying Burnley don't score a lot of goals, Brighton don't score a lot of goals, but Brighton have got something proper to play for. And look, Chris is right. European football is something to play for, but it's also, you see it a lot. Teams that are in that middle clutch of the Premier League, and particularly with the mentality of Burnley, it wouldn't shock me. They might well shock us and go, look, that's the big driving factor is trying to get back into Europe, absolutely. But the mentality of that club is often, we've survived and we're still in the Premier League. That might be a little bit of job done. Whereas Brighton, even at 2-0 down, it freed them. Because they could just go and do whatever the hell they wanted. If they managed to claw it back, then great, it's a point in towards survival. I don't know, and we can't know until we see them play, of course, but my suspicion would be that Burnley haven't got that motivation. So a 2-0 lead actually probably
Burnley are a much more solid side than Brighton. And that's why their games are, there is only a goal in it except when they play City. I think City tend to turn them over every time. And that's really what we should be aiming to do because we're that good. We should really just put them to bed and have done with it. But given it's Burnley, you've got to work hard to do that because they work hard.
I really enjoyed, and I don't know whether anyone picked up on this in Klopp's post-match. I don't know if you did, Ben. It was a slip of the tongue or a way of phrasing things, but he was asked about the games coming up kind of thing, and he used the expression about having to fight for the remaining 12 points, but he referred to them as the 12 points were their points. Like the points are Burnley's, Arsenal's, Chelsea's, and Newcastle's points, and it was really like, again, it might have just been a slip of the tongue, but I feel it was a slip of the tongue that belied how he's selling the rest of the season to his squad. That these guys have got your points, go in there and get your points go and get the points off of these guys.
It's a nice way of looking at it, and I think it's particularly appropriate when it comes to Burnley, because I think, Chris, the reason that they don't score many goals is because when they go 1-0 up in games, that's it. They just sit back even more than they were before, and they protect that 1-goal lead. I watched the West Ham Burnley game last night, and West Ham, they had a good go, but they never looked like scoring against that Burnley side because they're just so well organised. Obviously, Man United fell victim to it earlier on in the season at home to Burnley. So it's not a game that you can take for granted at all. And I think it's appropriate to be saying that to the squad, Burnley have your points. You've got to fight to win them back because, if we know how they're going to set up, and obviously we've got games coming up against Arsenal and Chelsea in particular that are going to be high quality games. But this is a game really where you have to fight for every tackle, every ball, every duel in the air, and ultimately every chance to score and win the game.
Absolutely. I think. Excuse me. Sorry, someone else.
I thought it was interesting. I thought it was interesting that Klopp actually knew the 4 games and mentioned that he knew them, because in the past it's always been, I'm only thinking about the next game, and suddenly he reels off all our remaining fixtures and starts talking about them. I mean, he really is clued up for what we've got to do, not just to pack up, and go home,
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think what's quite interesting about it, just looking at some of Burnley's results this season, City have dicked them twice. Chelsea have battered them a couple of times as well. We beat them 3-0. Spurs got a random 5-0 against them, which is a bit mad considering Spurs. But I think it's encouraging, Chris, that the good teams are turning Burnley over this season. and that's whereas they were very good at frustrating the really top sides, but I think given the firepower we've got available to us, I would treat that as a note of encouragement.
Yeah, they're not an unknown quantity, are they? And they've been in the league and they've been playing the same way, give or take, for a long time now. And I think that is probably just that. The bigger teams have worked out what's the best way to attack them. Just going back onto the European point, I just wonder whether they're a well-run football club, Burnley, and I think that they've got reportedly the lowest wage bill in the league as well. I do think there might be some serious bonuses though for Europe for what those players are on contracts wise and where they finish in the league. So I think that might be driving Burnley as long as obviously they're all competitors and they want to do as well as they can do. I think there probably will be some kind of financial rewards for Burnley. So I do think they'll have something to play for. I do think they want to upset the apple cart, as it were. They see Sheffield United above Arsenal and Tottenham. Why can't they finish above them? It's just the way it is. And, getting into the top 10 in the Premier League when you're Burnley is a huge achievement, absolutely huge achievement. Yeah. Don't want them to have it, though. Let's take the 3 points they're ours.
Yeah, it gives a fuck about Burnley and what they want to achieve, fully not asked. Dad, do you think one more game of rotation here with the Arsenal game looming in midweek and the aim maybe to get your first 11 really ready to the best of your ability?
It's a difficult call because in some respects, this is the more difficult of the two games because Burnley are going to be difficult to break down.
And because they've got a defence, John, yeah?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Arsenal are going to be open and they're going to play football. So...
I just got, what a fucking world. You're not wrong, but I love the fact that there's a perfect rationale behind it, but I love the fact that we've just said, uncontested, that Burnley is a more difficult game than Arsenal. Oh my God, it's genuine tears. Because you're right. No one in the rooms went... Whoa.
Yeah.
Hold on a second. Arsenal Football Club, the team that were once were invincible, the team that have got Mikel Arteta, the team that have got Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang and Lacazette and blah, blah, blah.
They've also got David Luiz, and that's the problem.
Yeah.
That is delicious. Absolutely amazing. Sorry, no, you're right. Certainly, it's a different type of challenge, isn't it? I think it's a footballing challenge against Arsenal. And it's probably there's a more faceted challenge, I think, Dad, to this game.
But I think it's a good shout, Naby Keita, because he offers you something totally different, trying to break a defence down. He surprises people with his pace and with the he actually goes into areas people don't expect him to. So I think he might well be the key to that whole way we approach it. Whether he plays all three of his forwards or not, I don't know. I always want him to, but whether he will, I don't know.
I wonder whether I thought he'd actually play against Brighton, Chris, but Minamino's been kind of reduced to really, really bit part roles, since the first game back. And again, it's how we shuffle our options because look, let's work on the notion that Jordan Henderson's probably not going to play this game. We've already said Lallana's reportedly played his last game. I wonder whether that's a consideration. Is Curtis Jones therefore a consideration? Because you can still play Fabinho, Keita, Wijnaldum in midfield, but it's maybe then what's then beyond that if we want to make changes to it because Oxlade-Chamberlain, yeah, but do you need Oxlade-Chamberlain's cover for the forward positions, etc., etc.
Well, Mane's going to play, isn't he? I would have thought. Having not started last night, so that I can't see Curtis Jones covering for Salah or Bobby. So Minamino would be the better shout, wouldn't it?
I think he plays the front three personally. I think I've got a sneaky suspicion the midfield might look a little bit like this: Fabinho in the 6 and Milner and Keita as the other two, and maybe just give Wijnaldum that little bit of rest in this game. Yeah. Because we've not seen a lot of Milner really. Obviously, we saw him at left back in the first game back. But we've not seen a lot of him. So I think and his experience, his intensity is something that I think the side might need against Burnley.
I think that's an absolutely outstanding shout. And I'll be honest, I didn't even have him in my mind at all. Obviously, He comes on for Henderson, doesn't he, Ben? And he's the vice captain. And he is exactly what Chris says there. If you're going to take Jordan Henderson's experience and intensity out of a football match, actually James Milner's probably is the guy to be dropping in there.
Yeah, he didn't enter my mind as well. Obviously, I think it's just down to the fact that he's been injured. But no, it's a good shout. Personally, I mean, the thing is, we've got quite a gap here. So we play on the Saturday at 3:00, and then we don't play again until the Wednesday. So for me, that is a good gap in between the two games. If he does want to play his strongest team in this game, I think they've got enough time to recover to play Arsenal on Wednesday night. But again, options are there. You might, if he wants to use them, he might as well. And I think, he's got a couple of ways he could go. He could play Curtis Jones, who's probably a little bit more attack-minded as well. But if he wants to go for the experience, because I'm just thinking, I don't know where Curtis Jones gets his minutes in the Arsenal and Chelsea games, but this might be a good opportunity to give him an opportunity in this one. And then obviously Newcastle on the last day as well, maybe. But, we've got two big games coming up where I don't think the youngsters will get as much time. You okay there?
Chris is having a moment. Oh dear,
Did I manage to mute myself for the second cough then, by the way? Yeah, I did. Okay, just about.
Go on, Dan.
I mean, if Ox is on the bench and you're struggling to get a goal, then they see he's a nice option to bring on in midfield.
Yeah, and again, I think there's a degree to which I think we'll see a lot of 60 minutes a game for the main lads, and maybe you do see Minamino come off, or maybe this is the game where Minamino starts instead of Bobby for this one, because I would be interested to see Minamino in the 9 with Salah and Mane either sides of him. Salah will want to play. Salah will be desperate to play no matter what, because he's just too hungry for that golden boot. I think you'd have a very hard time telling him he's not involved in this game from the start. Mane, right, having had the rest, probably almost certainly comes back in on this, and it's how much we want to rotate and how much again we feel the need to be ready for Arsenal, because Arsenal's then a week, isn't it, to Chelsea after that, so there's no real pressure on them after that. So I think I do wonder whether we might see 2 or 3 of the, I keep calling it this, of the middle clutch of players, the ones who aren't your first teamers but aren't your kids. We might see, I mean, it'll be Milner probably out of necessity, maybe a Minamino, and then there's probably not too much else really, because Robbo's back. Maybe you put Nico in at right back again instead of Trent for this. I don't know, but yeah, I don't think too much for this. Let's have some score predictions off for you, Ben. I'll start with you.
I'm gonna go 4-0 to Liverpool.
Fuck off. Really? Go ahead, Ben.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Why not? Why not?
I'll take one of them. I'm not actually predicting that, but I'll take it.
I'll take it. Yeah, go on.
I'm going to go 1-0 Liverpool. Dreadful game of footy, this, lads. Dreadful.
Okay.
The watch along will be fantastic, but the game of footy will be
fucking hell. Yeah, got to pretend to be ITV in this situation, Chris, where they've got a drab, meaningless England friendly and play it out like it's going to be the greatest thing you've ever witnessed. Got to be there. Make sure you're there. 2:15 Saturday.
Anything can happen.
What a game! Anything can happen because of Chris, not necessarily because of what Liverpool will do on the pitch. But go on, Dad. What do you think the score is going to be?
What a game in prospect.
Yes.
I think 3-0.
Yeah, I agree.
I almost said 5-4 just to spark things up a bit, but I think 3-0 is more likely.
And who to, John?
Mo Salah.
Yeah.
Mo Salah.
One thing we actually didn't discuss in this is, of course, it's Nick Pope going up against Alisson Becker with the Golden Gloves potentially on the line here. Alisson will be going out there going, destroy him. Go and ruin him, take it away from him for me, boys. I've predicted heavy wins in recent games, and I think, I know Man City absolutely battered them, and we've seen City really tear it on, but I think we need to stop using them as a benchmark in this, really. They're just somewhere else at the moment. Second. I think 3-0. I think 3-0 is would be a very, very good result, and it's how we go about it. I think if we get to 3 in the first half, then I think it might just be that. I think if it's similar to Brighton, I think it might go similar to Brighton, where we get an early start, but maybe be a bit more solid in the middle, and then you make some substitutions, and then maybe you add another 2 late on in the game, so it could be 3 or 4. Chris, one final.
I'm just going to make an adjustment. My score's going to be the same. Liverpool are going to win 1-0, but the difference here now is that it's going to be 0-0 with 93 minutes gone, and Alisson Becker is going to come up for the corner and score the goal that ruins Nick Pope's chances of the Golden Gloves.
Go on. I actually think I'd prefer that to be honest. Yeah, what a time to be alive that would be. Brilliant, gents. Thank you so much for joining me for this one, guys. Thank you so much for watching me, or and the guys at home, whether it was in podcast form if you listen to it, or of course in video form. We've got you covered if you need more content. Yes, we are live from 2:15 on Saturday for the fans, and if you haven't checked it out yet, do. It is a lot of fun. We listen to Liverpool songs, we chat through the match, we do our own incredibly biased commentary towards the mighty Reds, and yeah, it's definitely worth getting involved for. If you want more content in addition to that, go to the redmentv.com and sign up. The Around the League show where Ben and Co really dove into the Wigan Athletic story, which is really interesting stuff. The Reds News Roundup shows where we round up everything that's happening to the mighty Reds both on and off the pitch, and a back catalogue, an incredible back catalogue of interviews with Liverpool players past and present is all there for your perusal again in video and in podcast form. Anyway, yes, thank you for watching. We'll see you all soon. Ta-ra.